Okay, 8-2, we are going to create a button that we can press that will run the macro. Then we're going to get into where we edit a macro and also get in and complete code for ActiveX controls. Now, I do want to forewarn you that the machine that I'm on is Office 2016, not 2019. So if there's something I cannot do, just be prepared for that. Um, so what we do when we create a macro attached to a button is we actually create the button first, and then we go in and attach the macro to that particular button. So that's one of the things that we're going to do, and then you'll see how that works, and then we can do whatever we want to this control. And then we'll get into some other things as well that are kind of cool. There's a data input form that we can get into as well that this section talks about. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll talk about some of the common problems that we have. So this is the same file that we were working on a minute ago from 8-1. And the first thing we're going to do is assign a macro to a button form control. So up here under developer, and we're going to go to our controls right here, and we're going to click on actually, let me see where we're at here. So go to our controls group. Okay, we're going to go to insert, and under form controls we're going to find our button, which is right there. So you can see got lots of these different ActiveX controls and form controls as well. So when you do this, this is where we're going to draw it, and we're going to cover E6 to E7. So right here, and this doesn't have to be exact because you can resize it, but this then gives us the opportunity to name it, and we're going to attach it, assign the macro of department name, and click OK. Okay, now, so at this point we've attached the macro, but you notice it's called button 1, so I'm going to right click on this and we're going to edit the text, and I want to be able to call this display department. Okay, and that's the caption. And then I'm going to right click on it again. Or you could, I clicked outside, you could also right click and chose exit. But now I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to come down and format control, and I'm going to make this bold italic and click OK. And then I'm going to click over here on A3. Okay, that deselects the control. Okay, so notice at this point, okay, it is a macro. Notice how my finger changes there, my pointer changes. It means if I click on it, it would reduplicate that human resources department. Okay, so, but I'm going to make a little bit of a changes here. So I want to edit that macro that we've already created. So if I come back up here to my macros, and there's my department name that we are working in. I want to edit this. So this takes us to this screen, which is Visual Basic, which this is the coding behind the curtain, so to speak, of what's going on when we press Control-Shift in, or we press that button now that is attached to it. Okay, so as we edit, okay, we're going to choose the code from the View menu to display the code. We're ready to go. So we want to select Delete Human Resources down here. Right here, okay, and we're going to type in client relationships. All right, and okay, so the next step, all right, is to click the View Microsoft Excel button on the left side of the toolbar. So that would be right here. Okay. And then we're going to run the macro from the control. So we're going to select D3 because that's where we were, and we're going to go back and we're going to clear it out again. Okay. And then we're going to Notice how this changed also. So we click on that. Actually, there it is. Okay, so that was the name of the macros. But instead of putting previous what it did, it put client relationships department. Okay, so that's how you do a button. That's how you edit a little bit in Visual Basic. So now what we're going to do is insert what's called an ActiveX checkbox control. And I want to, we have a button down here that's hidden. Okay, so I need to unhide a worksheet that's down here, and it's so I just right click and choose unhide, and there it is. It's called guest data 2. Okay, so this is another worksheet of data, and what we're going to do is insert an ActiveX checkbox control. And if you're looking for the definition of an ActiveX control, an ActiveX control has properties that format and direct the behavior of the control. These properties may be set in the dialog box, programming commands in Visual Basic Code. So this could be lots of different little things, and think of it like a checkbox as being one that will and you'll see how this works more as we get at the end. It's also like one of the things we can do is create a data input form, which is pretty cool, where instead of having to type in the actual cells, we can get a form that we can fill in the blanks, and then it plops it into our data set. So these are some things that instead of, for instance, typing in yes or no, we can put a checkbox if we want to have it be equal to yes. That's kind of what we're doing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Developer tab. We're going to create one of these, and this is under Insert Controls. We've got these ActiveX. Okay, and we're going to, for this one, choose the checkbox. And again, we draw it, and we're going to draw it in rows below the location control in rows 10 and 11. Okay, so I'm going to make it about the same size. And it's called checkbox 2. Okay, so up under developer here with that still selected, I'm going to go to the properties of this particular one, and we're going to do some formatting here of this particular one. These are all the attributes associated with this particular box. Now, some of the basic ones, like you can see the height and the left location. Some of these we don't need to be too worried about. But this is kind of behind the scenes again of all the things that are attached to this particular box. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do is make sure I'm on the alphabetic tab, and I want to go to the back color. Right now it's white, and I'll hit this drop down. Okay, and I'm going to click the palette so I can choose from this. And I want to do the gray color in the first column, second row, right there. So it matches. I want to go to the caption. That's what gives us the checkbox 2 that we see in that particular box. And I'm going to type in name. I'm going to make the height a certain height. I'm going to make it 25.5, and I press enter after that. And I want to choose the shadow. I want to find the shadow. Right now it's false. I'm going to make that true. And we're going to do the width at 83.25, which mine was set up correctly. Okay, but change yours if you need to. And then you simply just close that. There's no OK or anything like that. Okay, now we can also line these up. So I press the control key, and I'm going to select the other one as well. And I can come up here to my drawing tools, format, and remember we can do alignment. And I'm going to choose align left so they are lined up perfectly. And I'm going to click outside. Okay, so now this is an ActiveX control, but really isn't doing anything. So we're going to write and edit the code for that. So I'm going to go here to developer real quick. Make sure that we are in design mode. That's one thing that you have to make sure that we are. We are. And we're going to do some work on this box that we just created. And under developer, under controls, I want to choose view code. Okay, and we're back to this ActiveX. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click the object arrow at the top of the code window and select checkbox 2. Okay, so right now it's just general, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to choose checkbox 2. Okay. And we're going to type an apostrophe and a space bar. And then type sort data by name. And press enter. This will show up in green, which means that it's a comment line. It's a comment line. Okay. Now we're going to select the code lines for the checkbox 1 control, starting at the word range, which is right here. You can see this is checkbox 1 right up here. So we're going to select from range and ending with end with. So I'm going to select all this. Okay. And we're going to copy it. So I'm going to press Control C. And then I'm going to paste that code after the comment line for checkbox 2. So right here. Okay. Now we're going to edit the two occurrences of C6. Where you see C6, we're going to put in A6. Because it's dealing with a different cell. Okay. Cell A6 is the header row for the name column. And then we're done with that, so we can close the visual editor. And that takes us back. So now to see how it works, if we select E13, right, that selects it. And we're going to go back into developer. Get out of that. Do there. We're going to turn off the design mode. And we're going to click the location. And you can see how what that did is it sorted by location. Okay. Then if we take that off, then we can come down here and we can click the name control and it'll sort by name. That was that extra one. So we created two different things. So it's sorted data by those particular ones. Alright. So that's how an ActiveX control it does an action for us. And in this case it was sorting because that's what the code told it to do. Alright, that's ActiveX controls. The other part was a data input form that you should look at in your textbook as well. We didn't get to do that one on this particular one, but it's worth reading about. And some of the issues also are listed on page 514 are common macro issues and solutions. So that's worth looking at as well if you're having any problems with getting the macros to work. Okay, so I'm going to finish with this one, and then we're going to move on to our last macro exercise.